Okay. So I wanted to. I don't want to talk, but I'm going to talk about the reality of self care when you have avoidant personality disorder. Um, so again, I had positive test. I've already had the call this morning to schedule a specialist appointment. That's really fast. That means it went through my insurance and it got approved already. Of course, my appointment isn't until December, but again, that's 6 weeks out. That's actually really fast. I mean, I was joking that it's going to take 6 months to get this resolved, and I was not really that joking about it. 6 weeks instead of 6 months. I mean, it's good for me to not have to worry, but the doctors are worried, or else they would not be pushing it that fast. So, of course, I went online, which they actually, like, I've been told by doctors this week, do not go online and do any research, because what you'll find is insanity. But it did say that, of course, my situation, who the heck knows? And my doctor, who had a clue in the beginning, said I'm probably going to need at least a biopsy and maybe actually surgery. So probably that's right. But according to online, what they normally do, which I wouldn't be at all surprised, because again, insurance, is they put you on medication first. And see if that has had any effect before they do surgery. In my experience, with another issue where I was having way more symptoms, and they were like, yeah, we definitely know there's this thing going on. They waited until it was an emergency situation before they actually did the surgery that I needed, instead of scheduling it and having it, planned for so I could prepare for it. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're going to do the same sort of thing with this. The problem is the medications are that one of the side effects is it gives you cancer. And I have a lot of cancer in my family history. And this specifically breast cancer. Like my mother had 3 different kinds. My grandmother died of it. All my aunts on my mother's side died on it. My mother, quite famously, the doctor said, hey, we have this test to see if there's a genetic thing. We want you to take it. And she said, what's the effect on that? And they said, well, then your daughters will know if there's a genetic, predisposition that maybe they, that'll help them in the history. That'll help them in the history. That'll help them in the future. It's history to me now because my mother's dead. But my mother famously said, well, I've already had cancer. So it's not going to affect me at all. So no, I'm not going to do this. Absolutely point blank refuse to have the test done because the benefit, it's a blood test. The benefit would have only been to her daughters because that's the way my mother was. I have to assume that I have a genetic predisposition. And it's been like 5 years since I've had a mammogram. And literally every time I've gone to the doctor, I've said, hey, what about this? And they're like, yeah, you probably ought to get one. And they haven't scheduled it. So, so knowing that I have this other issue that's probably going to cause, a landslide in my life of things, and it's going to cause like pure hell. And that the cure could make me, kill me, in other words. The responsible thing is to then make sure that I've had the test that I need to have. So while it was still sort of like rolling and burning through me, I decided to advocate for myself. See, it's hitting me now, what I've done. I mean, you have to. You have to. If you're dealing with something like this, if you're dealing with cancer or whatever, I've seen it. That's the one thing of having a family history. I mean, the thing is that my mother, the year that she, well, no, it wasn't the year before she died, she had lung cancer, and I went to town, and I went to, went to bat with the surgeons and the oncologists, and went to meetings and everything else, and forced them to come up with a solution that would work for her so that she would be cured of the cancer. And she was cured of the cancer and then just decided to give up the next year. Long story, very frustrating. I'm sure it's in all of my videos before how annoying that was. I can do that. That's like no big deal to help somebody else, even somebody that is, you know, antagonistic toward me as my mother was. But to do for myself is a completely different matter. But again, to have the family history and to know what you need to do, which is to stand up for yourself. Like, my mother had, the first time she had breast cancer, they did a mammogram and they left a teeny little lump. They did this terrible mammogram where they like scraped all the muscles away and got her down to the rib bones. And they left a piece, and she was like, for like 3 years, she was like, this is kind of bothering me. It feels warm all the time. And the doctor was like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Shut up. Yeah, okay, so what? The doctor literally said to my mother, oh, we just left you some cleavage. And then 3 years later, she had calcifications in the other breast, which is not cancerous, but you can't see through it on a mammogram. So they were like, we got to get this out of here. And the doctor said, literally, just to shut you up. That is a quote from her doctor. He said he would take that other piece just to shut her up, because he was sick of hearing her complain about it. It turned out that it had cancer in it, and it had been growing for 3 years, and the doctor fucked up. This is what reality of dealing with doctors is like with this sort of situation. So you have to be a self-advocate. With avoidant personality disorder, the only way you can stick up for yourself is if you get angry. Really angry. I've talked about this before. There are other videos about how you use anger as fuel in order to get stuff done, especially for yourself. Because it's the only way. Because you don't think you're worth it. And damn straight, you just lay down and let anything happen to you, and you're not going to say, hey, I need this extra help. Hey, this is what you need to do, unless you get royally pissed. And so that's what I did. I called. I mean, it helps that I have this testing. They can look in my history and they say, yep, oh yeah, look at that. This is not just me being, oh, I just want this done because I'm worried about it. There's actually a real legit reason for it. And I actually did have an order by the doctor to finally, after 2.5 years or something, have a mammogram for real. And they're like, yeah, there already is them. Let me put you through to schedule that. And I put me through to schedule that. And same thing. I was like still burning with anger. I mean, I don't know that it comes off. I don't know that I come off as, I'm not like a raging, screaming maniac nut. But I'm very, focused, and I point blank explain. I said, listen, I've got an appointment with this specialist. If they're putting me on this medication, I haven't had a mammogram, I'm not taking it. This is pointless. This is a waste of everybody's time and money. And I also explained to them, problems I've had in the past and everything else. And I'm like, I'm not telling you to upgrade the equipment, but every single time I've ever had one, they've had to upgrade. So when you schedule me, make me go to a place where it has the upgraded equipment available, because usually they do a mammogram and go, oh, you actually need an ultrasound because we can't see what we need to see. So make sure that wherever you schedule me, it's just convenient to them, that they can do both if they need to. And I did it. And I used anger to do it. And if I had sat and thought about it, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I would just sit back and never done anything to make the things that I needed to get done. I wouldn't have. I would have just been super passive and everything else. So the avoidant anger is very helpful in that short sort of thing. I mean, it can get you in real trouble. And I probably alienated every single person I talked to today because they probably could tell. Although they might know that, you know, having the test results that I just got, that it's probably freaked me out. And maybe they were being a little bit of compassion and giving me a break about basically self-advocating, which is what you have to do. I mean, the doctors tell you have to self-advocate, and then they get mad when you do it, because, you know, why do you think you're special? That sort of thing. But especially when I called for the second appointment, I mean, sorry, I'm getting like, this is what happens. This is why I'm recording this, so you know, this is what happens when you have avoidant personality disorder and you do this sort of thing. I mean, I had all of the things. I had the other appointment scheduled. I had test results saying it was real. I mean, everything I was saying, it wasn't like I was making something up. This is like Domino's textbook. Boom, boom, boom. This is what you need done. And probably the specialist I would go to would say, okay, I need your most recent mammogram results anyway, before we go forward. So, you know, it's basically being responsible and getting everything I need done anyway, and trying to speed the process. If they're trying to speed it up so much, I may as well help them along and make sure it's sped up. So, and this is, okay, so 2 things. First of all, this is me being an avoidant person, trying to imagine what other people are thinking in their heads about me and how they are judging me and how they are judging the situation that I'm in. Classic avoidant personality disorder. And the second thing is the pendulum. The pendulum swung out, and I used anger to push it out so that I could do this self-advocating, get this stuff I need done for myself, even though I'm not worthy. You know, to actually use the tools of the medical system the way they're supposed to be used. Even though I think, and I'll probably tell them, because I can't keep myself from saying, you know, there's probably somebody else that could have had this appointment before me. Anyway. And so now I'm like, the pendulum swung back. I'm in the gutter real bad. And I think I'm a terrible person for having done this. And I judge myself horribly. And I feel like I was really rude, even though I really wasn't. But standing up for myself equals